I sent my videos to my friend Tom, and he gave me really good advice on how to improve my videos, but I haven't had time to do any of the things he asked. So you're going to get the exact same video as before, but now I have ideas. We have summer break coming up. Probably take some time off for the summer break and then come back. Hopefully I can find an intro music, and he actually was suggested in the YouTube video you have to have a nice thumbnail. Thumbnail, that is the picture for the YouTube video in this case. No, there you go. Then you can read it. That's a good idea. I don't have time to do art, so I was thinking just making the Aiken kanji or something, and then I don't know. Should I put my face in it? I don't know. It's actually one of the big problems is I don't know the best way to do it. Let's get started. Today we're going to do level pre-2, question 4 and 5. Yes, we're going to do 4 and 5. That takes usually the right amount of time. Let's get the vocabulary going. The new TV show, Amazing Plants, is very something. So it's either going to be very good or very bad. Children who watch it can learn about lots of strange plants. So the word we're going to look for is learn. The first one is modern. It really just means new. We often use it with modern technology, new technology. Oh, not teachology, technology. My first thought was cell phones. So I think if you're older, you remember little cell phones, and then you remember clamshell cell phones that folded open. And now we have smartphones. So each new one is the newest one. It's modern technology. So modern technology right now would probably be the new phones that open like a book. And the big problem they're having is there's a line in the middle called a crease. That is a fold or a line down something. So a crease, when you iron pants, you actually get a crease in your pants. It's a nice line down the front. But if you fold paper, you get a crease in the paper. That's sort of the line down the paper. With these new cell phones, when you open them, they have a line between the two screens. That's what they're trying to fix. So modern technology is trying to fix that problem. Electric vehicles is modern technology, that kind of thing. So modern just means new or latest. A modern building is just a new building. But the feeling is that it would have new technology in it. So it would have good air conditioning or good heating and cooling. It would have internet connections. I could build a new building. That new building, maybe I don't connect to the internet. That feels like not modern technology. Whereas if I have a new building and everything is connected, it has Wi-Fi in the room automatically, that feels like more modern technology. Lonely. Lonely is feeling alone. Sad, you are by yourself. You wish you were with other people. So all of this, lonely just means a feeling. It's a feeling that you're by yourself. Okay. So I went on vacation by myself and was a little lonely sometimes. I went on vacation by myself and wanted to see other people more sometimes. I think that is okay. It's a feeling that you want to be with other people. Violent. Violent is how we describe things. It's very difficult to define. It means fighting. Because we use the word violence. So we would say like the movie is violent. The movie has a lot of disturbing fighting. Because kids' movies maybe have fighting, but they don't feel violent. Violent is more an ugly thing. It's fighting, and it's going to be blood, and it's going to be very disgusting. And the more violent it is, the more scary it is for people to watch. So it's actually more than just fighting. But how do you say it? Because it's a bigger feeling. Fighting is, because we have cartoons, Ampaman, he fights, but no one feels like it's very violent. I actually don't like Ampaman because of the violence in the show, and that's the punching and the fighting. But I need that one. So for me, violence has more meaning than just fighting. It's almost like ugly or scary fighting. Or graphic fighting? Graphic's another word I have to explain. Graphic, in the case of a movie or something, is when you can see everything. So sometimes in a movie, they will kill someone, but it will happen off screen. So like my hand is on screen, my hand is off screen. So if I go, you don't really see me hit the person over here. If it was graphic, you would see me hit the person, and then there would be blood, and you could see everything. So that's sort of a graphic movie. So again, Ampaman is not graphic. There's not blood or anything. Whereas a movie where people are getting shot and the blood goes blah, that would be a very graphic, violent movie. All right, educational. I think you know educational. You can learn. Very simple. And because the definition has the word learn in it, I think we already know that that's the answer. You can learn about a lot of strange plants. I watch Sounds Great English. The only word that needs a capital is English. Because it is so educational, I can learn lots of vocabulary. Actually, this part explains this part. So I watch Sounds Great English because it's so educational. I can watch Sounds Great English. Sounds Great English because I can learn from it. In this case, learning vocabulary more than anything else. So the new TV show Amazing Plants is very educational. Children who watch it can learn about lots of strange plants. Good. All right, let's move on. Mr. Suzuki's vacation in Hawaii was like a wonderful dream. However, he knew that he would have to go back to the something of his job in Tokyo. So this is important. It's a wonderful dream. When he goes back to Tokyo, it's not a wonderful dream anymore. So that's the word we got to look for. It's kind of the opposite. First one is origin, where something came from. What is the origin of your shirt? Really, it's just where did it come from? What is the origin of Toyota? Corporation. Where does Toyota come from? So the answer would be Japan. There's actually a city in Japan called Toyota. You could say, what is the origin of this food? Origin of the banana? Banana. What is the origin of the banana is where did the banana first come from? So what country did it come from? I actually don't know the answer. So let's ask that question to Google. What is the origin of the banana? There you go. Bananas are believed to have originated up to 10,000 years ago, and some science believe the world's first fruit. Okay. First bananas thought to have grown in the region that includes Malaya Peninsula, Indonesia, and the Philippines and New Guinea. So sort of that Southeast Asia islands area is maybe the origin of the bananas, or where the banana came from. Good. Where did the banana come from? Maybe 10,000 years ago, it came from the Philippines. Suggestion. An idea that I think you should do. That's actually very long. So a suggestion is when you're trying to think, how should I get downtown? I can suggest maybe you should take the train, maybe you should take the bus. Let me drive you. Here's a suggestion. Here's an idea. You don't have to do it. Usually the person telling you thinks it's a good idea. So I almost wrote a good idea, but people can make bad suggestions. They can give you bad ideas. So how should I get downtown? You should walk. Well, if I walk downtown, it's going to take me hours and hours and hours. That's not a good idea. So you can have a good suggestion and a bad suggestion. Using this new computer program was my boss's suggestion to make my work go faster. Okay, that's pretty good. What's wrong with bosses? Oh, bosses. Oops. Using this new computer program was my boss's idea that he told me to make my work go faster. Okay, so it was my boss's idea. A suggestion, you have to tell the other person. So that's why he told me to make my work go faster. Good. All right. Next one is reality. Reality is the real world. In this case, we're talking about my life. So we can have reality. So they talk about virtual reality. Virtual reality is not the real world. Virtual reality is the real world in a computer. I don't want to make it too complicated. So that's why they have to put on virtual. Virtual means almost. Reality is the real world. So what's actually happening around you. So that's kind of our answer here. Mr. Suzuki's vacation in Hawaii was like a wonderful dream. Well, a wonderful dream is the opposite of reality, which is real life. So there's our answer. However, he knew that he would have to go back to the reality of his job in Tokyo. His job in Tokyo, he has to go to work every day. He has to get on the train every day. He has to work 8, 9, 10, 11 hours a day. It's not a wonderful dream anymore. It's the real world that he lives in. So Hawaii feels like a wonderful dream. So I'm trying to think of a good sentence, because we don't use reality very much because we live in reality. My son has big dreams, but big dreams to what? To be an astronaut. But the reality is his science grades are not high enough. Oh, it's very sad. So my son has big dreams. My son wants to be an astronaut. But the reality, real life, is that he doesn't study hard enough. He doesn't have an understanding of science enough to become an astronaut. So I don't think my son can be an astronaut. It's very sad, when his dreams don't come true. My son has big dreams to be an astronaut. But in the real world, he doesn't study enough. That's kind of the right feeling. I'm very sad for the boy in my story now. I make an example sentence, and then my first idea is to give them a whole story in the background, so I know a whole life. But we know that's the answer to this one. Is Mr. Suzuki's vacation in Hawaii was like a wonderful dream. However, he knew that he would have to go back to the reality of his job in Tokyo. The last one, coast. I can actually think of two examples for this. The edge of land and water, but also to glide. I'm thinking of kind of an idiom, so we'll do all three though. I'd love to go to the coast of Japan. So you have Japan as an island. If you go far enough, you are on the beach, but sometimes it's mountains. So this is it. Coast is not just beach. Sometimes it's rocks. Sometimes it's a mountain. England has a famous coast between France and England, the Cliffs of Dover, which is a big, long, white cliff. I'd love to go to where the water, the ocean, in this case, ocean. I love to go to where the ocean meets the land in Japan. That's not great, but it's the right idea because I don't want to say beach because it's not only beach. So coast. I pushed hard on my skateboard and coasted for a long time. So this is the idea that I'm on a skateboard, I push, and then I don't have to push. I just keep gliding. I keep going for a long time. That's coasting. Okay? I pushed hard on my skateboard and went a long time without pushing again, is what happened. Now there's another one. Coasting is when you don't try very hard. Let me get up here. Don't try hard. Maybe that's not perfect, but it's the right idea. Because he's coasting. So he is smart, but doesn't study So he coasts. No, that's not quite right. So his grades are okay, but he is just coasting. So he is smart, but doesn't study. So he doesn't do the work. I have to learn to hit the Shift 7. I don't do it. I don't hold down Shift long enough. He is smart, but doesn't study. This is a common problem with smart kids. His grades are okay, but he isn't doing any work to improve. And that's the important part. So he's like, I'm smart enough. I don't have to study hard. I'm not going to study hard. I'm just going to get an okay grade instead of getting a very good grade and trying to do the best I can do. That's coasting. Some people, maybe they do a really good job at the beginning when they join a company, and then they get a good reputation, and then they just coast on their good reputation. They don't keep putting in the hard work to improve or get better. So they're going to stay the same for a really long time. And so that's coasting, which people with talent often, because they're sort of better than everyone else naturally, they don't put in extra work, so they coast on their talent. Whereas if they put in extra work, they would go to this much higher level. And then you have people who put in hard work, and they actually will pass them in their grades or whatever they're doing. Maybe it's at work or something like that. So I think that's been about 20 minutes. Let's do one more. Wesley. Oh, yeah, so we had the answer. Mr. Suzuki's vacation to Hawaii was like a wonderful dream. That was an important word. However, he knew that he would have to go back to the reality, his job in Tokyo. Let's do one more. Wesley offered to buy Sarah's guitar from her, but she's something. He wants Sarah's guitar, but that's again, a very important word for this sentence. Wesley offered, he said, I will buy your guitar. She said, but. So if he says, I will buy your guitar, and then we use but, the answer is probably no. She did not want to sell it because it was a gift from her father. So this means a lot to her, so she doesn't want to sell the guitar. So the answer is going to be no. We know that already. Lloyd. Ooh. Has a job. Employed is very simple. Employed means you have a job. I was unemployed for 6 months. It was really stressful. I am so happy to be employed now. So I didn't have a job for 6 months. It was very stressful. I am so happy to have a job now. Good. So that's pretty easy. Employed just means has a job. Existed. Okay. Existed is past tense. So it's actually exist means it is real. So my son is scared of monsters under his bed. Well, this is classic. In Japan, they use futons. You can't have monsters under your bed in Japan because if you sleep on the floor, there's nothing under your bed. So you need that. We have to put it in the room. So my son is scared of monsters in the closet. So I am trying to convince him they do not exist. All right, my son is scared of monsters in the closet. So I am telling him they are not real. So exist just means it's real. So like a horse exists. A horse is real. A unicorn does not exist. A unicorn is not real. All right, retired. So we have employed. After you are employed, you retire. So I'm just going to use this version. Has finished work for their life. So if you can finish work for today. So I go to work, it gets to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I finish work. I can quit. So that means I don't like this job, I quit this job, and then I have to go find a new job because I still need money. You can get fired. So I go to work and my boss says, I'm not happy with the way you work. You're fired. That means I lose my job and I have to go find a new job. Retire, usually you're older, but let's say I become very rich, I could do it when I'm young, means I don't have to work anymore. So I finish my job, I quit my job, and then I don't find a new job again. So right now, if I got very rich, maybe I would retire, but probably I'm going to have to work until I am retirement age, 60, 65, 70, depends what country you're in. And then I can finish working and not have to work anymore. I am looking forward to next year when I turn 65 and can retire. I am looking forward to next year when I turn 65 and stop working. Okay, good. And the last one, again, this is past tense. This is retired. So he retired last year. He turned 65 and he retired last year. And the last one is refused. To refuse, to say no. Boss asked me to work overtime and I refused. Boss asked me to work overtime and I said no. Should be in quotes, no. That's all it is. So maybe I ask a girl to go on a date and she refuses. So she says no. Someone offers me more food and I refuse. I say no. I can do it politely. Oh, no, thank you. I'm very full. I've eaten too much. That's a polite refusal. There's a nice word. So just write that, refusal. That's a polite refusal. I can ask a girl on a date and she can be very rude. She's like, no, you're ugly and stupid. Very terrible, but she's refusing. So refusing can be polite, it can be rude, it can be positive, it can be negative. It's just saying no. It doesn't really have a feeling. The feeling would come from the rest. Because in this case, my boss asked me to work overtime and I refused. Maybe I do it very politely because I'm very busy or I have a reason. That's not a bad thing. My boss asked me to work overtime and I threw my book on the floor and I punched my boss and I said no. It's a different feeling. So you need more information to be able to understand the feeling of how they refused. But refuse by itself just means to say no. So Wesley offered to buy Sarah's guitar from her, but she refused. She did not want to sell it because it was a gift from her father. So I'm going to end the video there. And I know some of you are going to refuse and say, oh no, Peter, please stay with me forever. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to go to work today. Hopefully my boss does not ask me to work overtime because I will refuse, but my summer break starts tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. If you have any questions or comments, you can send an email to soundsgreatenglish@gmail.com. And you can find a link to, I'm going to make this into a PDF, and you can find a link to that in the video description on YouTube. I do need some music to have sort of a goodbye. I will look for that over my summer break. Thank you very much. Hope to see you again.